Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about using objects as properties and also interfaces. So let's say in our sandbox component we have a customer property and we want that to be an object, okay? And that object has to have an ID, which is going to be a number, and let's say a name, which is going to be a string, and we'll say email, which also needs to be a string. Okay, so we need a comma there. So we're kind of creating a model for the customer object that it has to follow. So let's go and create a constructor. Oops, get rid of one of those T's. And then we'll say this dot customer, and we'll set that to an object. Now this has to match exactly what this is, the ID, the name, the email. So if I were to just put, let's say, the name and say John Doe, that's not going to match. We're going to have an error that says type name string is not assignable to type ID number name string email string. Property ID is missing in type. Okay, so it's starting here and it's giving us the error saying the ID is missing. So if we go and we put an ID in here of 1, we still get the error and it's telling us that the email is missing. So it has to follow this model. Alright, and if we put email in here and we'll say john@gmail.com, now we don't get any errors. Now, if you want to do it this way, this is fine, but just imagine if this object had a lot more fields. It had embedded objects and arrays and all kinds of stuff. You may not want to just, put that all up here. So you can create an interface for this property to follow. So let's go down here and let's say interface, and we'll call it customer. And then what we'll do, is take what we have here and we'll copy that, put that in there, and then instead of assigning it to this long object here, we can just assign it to customer. Alright, and if we save that, that's going to work. If we were to, let's say, make the ID a string, okay, that's not going to work. If I save it, we're going to get an error. We also get the error in the editor. Alright, so let's just change that back to 1. Now, if you don't want to include the interface in the actual file here, you can put it in a separate file. So let's go over here and say new file, and we're going to call this customer.ts. Okay, and then we'll just take this interface right here, and we'll go ahead and cut that out. Paste it in here. Now, since it's in a separate file, we need to make sure that we export this. So we're going to say export interface customer, and we'll save that, and then let's go over here and import it. Alright, so we'll say import customer, and that's going to be from, it's in the same folder, so we'll do / and then customer. Okay, and then we can leave this as is, and we save it, and that's going to work. Now let's say we want to have an array of customers, so we can do that as well. Let's just comment, no, we'll leave that. We'll call this one customers, and we're going to set this to customer, but it's going to be an array. So we're going to put our brackets there. Alright, and then in the constructor here, let's say this dot customers, set it to an array. And let's see, we'll just grab this here. We'll put a comma. And let's paste in a couple more. Just tab this over. Alright, and we'll say this one is going to have the ID of 2. This one will be 3. We'll change the name here. I'll just put my name. Alright, and now we have an array of customers, and it's using the customer interface. If I save that, you'll see we have no errors. Alright, so hopefully this gives you a better idea of how to use types in Angular and how to use an interface to kind of model out your data. So in the next section, we're going to start to work on template syntax. I'm going to show you how we can We can bind properties, we can create if statements in the template, we can loop through things like this customers array and output data. All right, so we're going to get into that in the next section.